Hi there, in this video we're going to start to play with some ordinal data, so let's jump straight in here. Okay, so I'm going to jump over to my Excel. I'm going to bring me into this so that we can have a little play with some data. Okay, so let's have a look at this. What we've got is we've got a column of data here that is named ordered categories. These are ordinal data. In column A, I have a unique ID. I always have a unique ID in here. The reason is because if we order our data in any way that we choose, I've always got a way of getting back to the original order that we started off with, and that's really, really important. So I always use a unique ID, and I encourage you to use one too. But we're not interested in that column at the moment. It's just this one, the size category. And we've got categories here of small, medium and large, whatever they mean. T-shirt sizes, tumour sizes, whatever it happens to be, something called small, medium and large. And I've listed here all the things that we can do with these data and what we cannot do with these data. And we're actually going to go in and calculate these. So what the first thing that we can do is we can calculate the total number of entries that we have, and for that we use the count A function. Count A counts up the number of cells that have text in them, and it ignores cells that are empty, and it ignores cells that have numbers. It just counts cells that have text in them, right? So in here we can type in equals count A. Oh, by the way, below this video there is this file can be downloaded, so if you haven't got it downloaded, go and download it now, open it up and play along with these data with me. This is an interactive lesson. I want you to get in and start typing away and follow along with everything that I'm doing so that you get the experience of actually playing with these data. Okay, we're doing this together. So go and do that. You pause this video, go and get the file, open it up, and then you can start playing the video again. All right. Welcome back. Glad to have you with me. Okay. So we're just starting to type in here. Equals count A, and then now we've got to choose this column of text. And what we expect to find when we've done this is, well, how many entries have we got in total? We've got 30 entries in total. We should expect to find 30, but we won't, and we'll find out why in a second. We've got 31, and the reason is because we've asked it in this entire column to give us all the cells that have a text entry, but our header, the name of our column, has got a text header itself. So that is also being counted when we don't want it to. So we know that. So by knowing that, we can just simply take one away from the total, and that will give us the 30 that we expect to see. Okay? So we've got 30. Another thing that we can do is, because these categories are ordered, they're ordinal data, we have a minimum value of our categories and a maximum value, so we can calculate the minimum and the maximum. And we can use, for the minimum, we use the function min. So we go equals min, open bracket, we select the column that we're looking at, close the bracket, and return, and it gives us the value of 0. Well, what does that mean? We've got small, medium and large, but don't expect to get 0, we expect to get small. Except that Excel does not understand your naming convention. It doesn't know that small, medium and large are ordinal data. It doesn't know that small is the lowest possible category and that large is the highest possible category. It doesn't know. Why would it know? We haven't told it. You can go in there and you can do some really fancy programming so that it does understand that small, medium and large are have got categories that have got order, but it's actually not worth the effort in doing that. The only thing that Excel can do at this stage is it can return an error, or it can return, in this case, a 0, and a 0 actually doesn't mean anything. So we can discern the lowest possible category, the minimum category, but not in Excel, not when the categories are named, at least not easily. It's very difficult to be able to do it. But since you already know what your categories are named as, it shouldn't really be necessary for you to do it. But we're going to go through it anyway, and we're going to do it with max. So we go equal max bracket, choose the column, close the bracket, and return, and again we get 0. If it can't figure out what is the lowest category, it can't calculate, it can't figure out what is the highest category either. So it gives us a 0. We can calculate these. It is allowable in terms of ordinal data, but Excel can't do it when the categories are named. Similarly, the median. We can calculate the median value of this data set. Equals median, and select it, median of B, and select it, and we get an error, because a median requires numbers, not text named categories. So we are allowed to calculate the median, but you can't do it when the categories are named, because Excel is not set up like that. Mode, we can work out what the mode is for these numbers as well. And again we get another error. It can't do it because the categories are named. But we are allowed to do it. This is a mathematical function that we are allowed to use on ordinal data, but it's really difficult when the categories are named. Something that we can do, that we will get an answer from, is we can count how many entries we've got in each particular category. And for this we use the countif function. And for this we can go equal countif, open the bracket, we're going to choose the range, which is the column B, and then we choose the criteria, or criterion in this case, which is small, close the bracket, and it's given us a count of 11. If you want to go down and count them up, you can do. I'm not going to do it. There might have been 100,000 rows here, and I'm not going to count down 100,000 rows. But yeah, it's correct. Okay, and we can do the same for medium and large. I can type all that in again for medium and large, but I'm not gonna. I'm going to show you another trick that you can do. Here, if you select the bottom right corner of the cell and pull it down, it will automatically calculate it for medium and large as well. And what we can do with this is we can add up everything that we've got, equals sum of each of these 3, and it gives us 30. So we know that when we add up all the small categories, medium categories and large categories, we get 30 entries in total. And we know that we've got 30 entries because we calculated that right at the beginning. And what that tells us is that we don't have any misspellings, we don't have any contaminated cells, we don't have any numbers, we don't have anything in there. We simply have all of the entries that we have. We have only small, medium, and large in our data set, and that's a really useful check to have. Okay, there's one thing that we can't do. Another thing we can't do is the average, the mean, calculating the mean. The reason we can't calculate the mean for ordinal data is the mean is a calculation of numerical values, numerical as in 1.23, not integers, and not named categories, not ordered categories. It's not for categories at all. It's for a different type of data, which we'll come to in a different course. So we cannot calculate a mean. Actually, we can type in. Excel will allow you to do things that you shouldn't be able to do, and we're going to do it. We're going to go equals average of this column, and it'll give us an error because it's expecting some numbers. It's given us a divide by 0 average because it's worked out. You add up all the numbers that you've got and divide by the number of numbers that you've got, and the number of numbers that you've got is 0, so you're dividing by 0, so you get a divide by 0 error because there are no entries. So it's expecting numbers and it doesn't have any, so it can't do it. But you shouldn't do it anyway because working out a mean of ordinal data is forbidden. You cannot do it. should not do it. Okay, so this is the sheet on named categories, named ordinal data categories. I'm going to move over to the next sheet, which is numbered ordinal data categories. Okay, and what I've done here is I've got precisely the same, but I've transformed these from small, medium and large into 1, 2 and 3. So we should get exactly the same answers, but this time we've got numbered categories rather than named categories. And we're going to go through all of the same calculations that we can do, that we're allowed to do. So to calculate the number of entries that we've got, we can use count, not count A. Count A is used for text. We don't have text anymore, now we have numbers. Count works out how many numbers you've got in your range, or in this case in our column. So for this we go equals count, simply select the column, return, and it gives us 30 as we expect to find. Okay, minimum. We can calculate the minimum value of our range equals min. Select B, return it, 1. The lowest category we have is 1, which corresponds to small. So you can calculate the minimum value, the lowest category that you're looking for. Not when the categories are named, but you can when the categories are numbered. So that's quite useful to know. We can do that with max as well, equals max of B, return 3. The maximum numbered category, the highest numbered category is 3, what we expect it to be. What about median? Equals median of this 2. So what it's done is it's taken all of our numbers and it's put them in order, and then it's selected the middle value, or the number that's closest to the middle value if there are an even number. There are an even number, there are 30 of them. So it's the 15.5 number, and so it takes the middle value of the ordered data, and the middle value is a 2. Equals mode. We can do the mode now. Do this, and the mode is 3. Remember that what the mode is, it's the most numerous category. So we can use the mode to tell us which category has got the most entries, and in this case it's 3. Category 3 has got more entries than category 1 or category 2. Other things we can do, we can count the number of entries of category 1, and we use for that COUNTIF. So we go equals COUNTIF, and then we choose the range and the criterion, which is 1, close the bracket, and we get 11, just as we did before. We got 11 small, now we've got 11 1, which we should do. And we're going to do that same trick by pulling this down to work out the number of times that the number 2 has occurred and the number of times that the number 3 has occurred. So the number 3 has occurred 12 times, which is greater than 7 and greater than 11. So the most numerous category is 3, which is exactly what the mode tells us. So all these numbers, they're all tallying up, and they all give us a sense of understanding of our data. And finally, we can work out the total, which is equals sum of each of these, and we get 30. 30, which is exactly the same as the initial count that we had. So everything is correct. We have a full complement of data, and everything is fine. Okay, so these are all the things that we can do, and unfortunately what Excel will allow us to do here is it will allow us to work out the mean. So we can work out equals average of these data, and it will give us a number 2.03. Hey, we've got the average of this, the mean of this is 2.03. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything, because our categories are named small, medium and large. So what does 2.03 mean? It means medium and a bit. What does medium and a bit mean? It doesn't mean anything. There is nothing in between the categories small, medium and large. There is nothing defined to be in between the categories small, medium and large. So you can't have medium and a bit. It doesn't make any sense. And this is why we cannot use the mean in categorical data, in ordinal data. We're not allowed to do it. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So if ever you see in a paper or in a book or anywhere where somebody has got some categorical data and they've worked out the mean of these numbers, because obviously they can't do it with the named categories, but if they've numbered their categories and then they've worked out a mean, you have my permission to go and jump on their head vigorously. Actually, don't do that. Don't actually do that, because you'll get into trouble and then you'll go and blame me. So don't do it. But metaphorically, you can metaphorically jump on their head because they're doing it wrong. And I've seen this many times where people have calculated a mean value of numbered categories. Just because you have numbers for your categories instead of names, it doesn't mean that you can calculate a mean value. You cannot. You must not. It is forbidden. Okay? Right. So this is it for ordinal data. I hope you've got a good understanding of the things that you can and cannot do with ordinal data and the limitations of working with ordinal data in Excel when they are named and when they are numbered. Okay, we're going to move on now to going and playing with nominal data, and we'll see what we can learn from that.